Greetings Forsaken, FiOth here, and I welcome you back to the Megastructure. It's been more than a year since the game came out, and this title is worthy of the moniker recreated or reborn more than any other game in the market. People say sometimes that Lords of the Fallen a year back is a different game, but if you played Bleak Faith Forsaken back at launch and you came back to it now, you will find out that it's a completely refined gem at the moment. A lot of the mechanics and systems in the game have changed, and although I make a bit back in the day that was relatively successful for the scope of the game, I want to take it upon myself to re-explain everything so newcomers coming from the console editions and people returning from leaving the game behind will know how to enjoy it at its fullest. I will just be taking you through the menus here with all the information required to optimize your playthrough, and if you have any questions you can leave them in the comment section below and I will be sure to answer them. Without further ado, let's get to it. So this is my Forsaken. He's a new game plus character, if I'm not mistaken, and first and foremost what we need to look at is how the growth system works at the moment. The game used to be 100% reliant on what kind of gear you were wearing and what kind of crystals you had embedded into said gear, both your armor and your weapons. Now this is completely changed. There is a traditional XP system in place that takes you up to level 25 in New Game, 30 in New Game Plus, 35 New Game Plus, and I think 40 New Game Triple Plus. So you just accumulate experience. There are ways to increase your XP gains, and once you reach enough XP you level up and you get some attribute points to spend. In specific intervals you will be getting more points, but ultimately what you need to be aware of is that doing more stuff now, like finding hidden loot, defeating enemies, overcoming bosses and so on and so forth, will net you XP that you can just turn into attribute points by reaching a specific threshold and then investing them to increase your 4 core stats: strength, agility, intelligence, constitution. These of course will in turn increase your corresponding stats in the primary, secondary and weapon stat tabs. Pretty self-explanatory. Abilities is the thing that hasn't been reworked as much as the rest of the stuff. You can still have 2 active at any point. You activate them with ability splinters, and there are 8 in total: Dash, Caltrop Dash, Summon Elemental, Power Armor, Shadow Walk, Fire Breath, Flux Conversion and Echo Slam. You pick the 2 you want. You have them available for casting at any given moment unless they're in cooldown, and from here on out if you want to change something you have to invest more splinters. Pretty self-explanatory, nothing to upgrade here. You just pick them, activate them and you have them and you're good to go. Now for the perks, things remain pretty much the same except for the icons available. There are 9 bosses in the game. The very final boss doesn't net you a perk essence because the game is over after you defeat them, of course, but the other 8 each award you 1, and you can have up to 4 perks with a perk upgrade each. That is exactly 8 perk essences. So if you defeat every single boss in the game, including the secret one, you will have 4 maxed out perks. Now the perks tab in the game is the most important to understand because you cannot reverse what is happening here. For your stats, and I have to underline this, you can use an item called the Basilisk Hack. You can see it right here. Resets all your assigned attributes usable from the inventory. You just click use here and you reset your attributes, and you can recraft this as much as you want. There is no restriction. But for your perks, once you activate something, it's locked in place for the entirety of the current playthrough. In each subsequent New Game Plus you get 1 item that allows you to reset at the beginning, and that is it. You can respec once your perks and as many times as you want your attributes. So going for a build that includes 4 synergizing perks here is paramount, and you want to pay a lot of attention so you don't mess your character up. You have been warned. Another addition made to the game that is extremely important is the iteration of the Tactician's amulets. you get a Tactician's amulet in every new game cycle, and you can transfigure it into an amulet of your choosing, unless you want to keep it as a Tactician's amulet that increases the ground covered whenever you dodge. Each type of Tactician's amulet removes invulnerability frames, and if you've been scratching your head thinking the game never had those, well, they implemented them at some point, and there are ways to increase how many you get per dodge, decrease or take them out altogether, getting additional benefits. So for example, here you see I have the Amulet of Focus, removes invincibility frames plus 90% base weapon damage, which is huge. It's huge for your overall rounding of weapon damage. So you grab this from the beginning, it's literally at the very start of the game on the very starting bridge, and you can transfigure it into anything you want from the available choices once per game and have that amulet in your collection. A very potent item, but every single iteration of it will remove your invincibility frames. So using it has its pros and its cons, of course. Now, the equipment tab, you will be glad to know, received an overhaul, and not only does it list the types of gear, helmets, chest pieces and all, but also the weight class. So it's light, medium, heavy. Go back to equipment. Here it says, for example, light, medium, heavy, and so on and so forth. The same stands for weapons. They're all categorized: single hand, shields, dual hand, colossals, dual wielding, archery, and staves. Everything is neatly categorized with their upgrade levels on display, so you know exactly what you are going for every time you want to hit your character. There are 4 additions here that you might have noticed. It's the Mobius Blades explanation, a scanner that will, in current and upcoming content, allow you to scan specific anomalies in the world to get lore. I think this is still in experimental stage, but I am sure it will be expanded upon. Relocation device you get at the end of the game, and it takes you to the central hub. And the homunculus mirage, of course, is the homunculus mirage, which usage I will be demonstrating right now. So a pretty unique idea that Bleak Faith brought to the table is to create your own portable respawn point once per visit at a homunculus. So right now I was at the homunculus, you can see it back there, and I have my mirage available. I hold use and you can see it is mapped on number 4. It's a combination of button presses, and it will be available in the same vein in the console version of the game, so don't worry about it. It's very easy. Hold use and 4, and you place a portable respawn point that can do the following. It will respawn you here if you die. It will respawn you here if you choose to respawn using again the use and respawn combination. Respawn at the latest homunculus? No, for the time being, but you get the gist of it. If you visit any of the standard homunculi, this will dissipate, no questions asked. If you want to remove it from the world, you can. It's gone, and now in order to get it back, you need to go back to a standard homunculus, and as you can see on the right, the homunculus mirage is back. If you dissipate it, it is gone for good unless you visit one of these actual homunculi, and you cannot stabilize your perk essence if you visit your mirage. Only the actual homunculi can do that. What is perk essence? Well, going back to the character and perks, you can see I have 2 pieces here. I shouldn't have 2 pieces. This is because this character was created in version 1 of the game. Many patches came out, and this is a known glitch. The devs know about it. It doesn't affect your game in any way because there are no more slots for perks. It's just something in the UI that they will fix eventually. When you defeat a boss, you get an unstable perk essence, and you have to take it to a checkpoint, to the homunculus, to stabilize it. If you die in the way there, it drops in the boss's arena. The boss does not respawn. You just have to go grab it and bring it to the homunculus. If you try to teleport, it will drop, and you have to go grab it and bring it to the homunculus. The mirage will not save you this trouble. You have to reach an actual respawn point in order to stabilize it. Once it is stable, you can come into this menu and place it in a perk socket. Now for crafting, it has been streamlined extremely well. You can go into categories for your potions, your concoctions, and then your arrows, everything neatly arranged so you don't have to look over huge ass menus to find what you need. Also, all your crafting materials are down here on display, and you know how many you have, and of course how many you need will be displayed right here, so you can craft what you want. Let's say I want to craft a metal arrow, you can craft one with space or the max available amount with F. Be careful with the max available amount, because that means it will use all the related materials to craft what you're clicking, and you might end up crafting a bazillion lesser restorative fluids. That is something you certainly don't want, especially later on in the game. Another exciting addition is the document and logs. You find documents just by randomly defeating enemies in the environment, and the more you have, the less of a chance you have of an additional one dropping. This brings some of the lore of the cosmos into the game, so you will have a better understanding of what is happening, what some of the characters were thinking, and what events led to which outcomes. They're very interesting to read through, they're very short, and more will be added in the future. For the time being, all you need to know is that you need to keep defeating enemies, and eventually you'll have a full collection. There will be a trophy and achievement tied to this, so good luck getting them, because the last few will take a huge amount of enemies defeated in order to accumulate them all. One question that usually comes up when talking about this game is the healing availability. There is no universal replenishable healing item in the game. You craft what you need through the crafting menu, and then you slot them in the 2 pallets of usable items right here. You cannot have 2 restorative fluids unless one of them is a regeneration one. So regen items are different from instant use items, and you can have one of each category. 1 instant use healing, 1 instant use ionization restoration, and then you can have your regens, but not 2 of the same. You can have a restorative fluid that is also a health regeneration item, but you have to make sure that you are not overlapping. If you place one of these in a slot and then in another slot you go for a greater regeneration fluid, the first one will be removed, as you can see here, and the other will overtake its place. So you have to know what you are working it in order to have the best managed health regeneration. You don't want to run out during a fight, because the only way to get these replenished is to be out of combat. They will auto refill. The crafting will not be done on its own, but they will be placed in the appropriate sockets as long as you're not in a fight. So make sure you have everything arranged neatly here, so you have everything you need when the time comes. A couple of general suggestions now in order for you not to get surprised when playing the game. Health dictated by constitution and by some items. You have to get as high as possible as soon as possible. Rule of thumb in action RPGs, a huge ass health bar will keep you alive more often than not, and you have to invest in it. This is very important, and that was something that people in the OG release didn't really get straight, because they did not understand that adding crystals that both increased constitution and your flat numbers would help you. Here you mostly have to deal with the stat, but going into your equipment and adding flat numbers, as you can see here on the right, will help you long term to get the best possible results. Everything else you need to know, you can just look at the description in the middle of the screen. They did a great job of explaining what each number does, so you don't need me to break everything down. Let's say we take stamina leech rating. It explains a rating amount of base weapon damage leads as stamina. So if you have stamina leech on one of your weapons, you can just keep hammering the enemy. Some of the stamina will be returned as you hit them, and everything is just explained like that. It's very easy to understand. Good grief, because some people didn't manage to enjoy the game because some of the stuff in here was very obtuse. Now it's perfectly articulated and you can enjoy the game to its fullest. The handler found in Block and in many other areas of the game is the most important NPC you can visit. You talk to her and she can do 2 main things: upgrade your gear and manufacture stuff that you cannot manufacture yourself through the crafting tab. Very important to remember that the handler synchronization that you see up here will have to be upgraded in order for her to be able to upgrade past certain thresholds of item level. So at extract 1, she will be able to upgrade once, 2, the second tier, 3, the third tier, and so on and so forth. You find handler echoes throughout the world that will allow this process to be completed. So you grab a handler echo and you come back to the handler and you give it to her and she will be able to perform more upgrades. They're scattered everywhere. You need 5 of them, and once you have 5, the loot pool in certain areas will be replaced, so you will not be picking up a 6th. That will be of course obsolete because you'll have nothing to do with it. In New Game Plus cycles, handler echoes will stick, you don't have to find them again, as will certain shortcuts in the game that lead to specific loot. So every subsequent cycle that you make will be easier to enjoy because you will have to do less legwork to get stuff working. An integral part of the upgrade process is the anomalous crystals, and these come in 3 qualities: lesser, normal anomalous, and greater anomalous crystals. Now, these can be acquired in 3 ways. The lesser and normal ones will drop from enemies. The greater ones come in 12 drops per run, or after your New Game Plus encounter with the first boss, you get the recipe to craft them. Third way is to just always craft them once you get the recipes, which come from boss fights. Now, to craft these, you always require essence, as you can see down here. And to get essence easily, you can destroy the ones you don't need and use that essence as a material. So for example, I have a lesser anomalous crystal here that I will not need, and as you can see, I have 3 buttons down: extract 1 to destroy this one, extract all to destroy all stacked ones. Don't worry, it won't destroy all your crystals, just the stack you're pointing at, or to just not destroy anything. So I'm here, I'm gonna click destroy all just to show you. It destroyed that one stack, which contained only 1 lesser crystal, and now I got an essence. I have a ton here, so it doesn't really matter for me. I just destroy the lesser ones because at this point in the game they're too low yield to socket them into anything. And then you go to the handler and you can socket runes in any equipment that has an empty slot. You increase the number of empty slots by upgrading the mark on the weapon. One-handed weapons will never have more than 2 slots. Two-handed have up to 5, as do paired weapons and bows. And then we go to shields, which have 3. The logic here is that if you have 2 on your main hand, that is one-handed, and 3 on your shield, you end up with 5. So in between your 2 hands, you have 5 slots to use. Every piece of armor in the game, with the exception of special armor pieces that give you peak stat bonuses, will have 5 slots, as you see here. That is why if you have a special helmet, for example, like the Ares or the Ellipse helmet, it does not show in the crystal socketing menu because you cannot tinker with them. They have fixed values and fixed crystals. Now, once you have the appropriate recipes, you go here to the manufacturing in the handler, and you can use the materials you have to craft crystals up to greater ones. As you can see here, because I am in New Game Plus 3, I have the recipe to craft this as well. The issue is they're expensive AF. You can see that on the right. And you'd be better off really understanding how the system works in order to create the exact amount that you need and socket in the exact gear that you want to use. Last but not least, the new scanner device that you get gives you a relative idea of where your objectives are. Here, almost all objectives are done, but as you can see up there, one of the synchronization cores is still waiting for me in this cycle. I don't have to be next to a homunculus to see it anymore, and this is great help, especially if you're getting closer to one and you just need that little bit of information to reach it. Very well thought of addition to the game because it makes it that much more accessible. So this is it, Forsaken, my guide for every basic mechanic in the game. If you think I have forgotten anything, leave it in the comment section below. If I realize I've forgotten anything, I will be leaving a small additional text in the description so you can get the rest of the info out. Thank you so much for watching, sub, like, and hit the notification bell. Join us in our streams for more Bleak Faith. Until next time, be well, stay frosty, and always strive for perfection. Cheers!